Here we go. One step at a time, don't be living on the line. I don't need a friend, I got more than on the mind. Sunshine in my brain, making everyone complain. Radio in the heart, don't be being so strange. Think I'm losing it, baby, where have you been?
Hello and welcome back. Today is April 18th, 2017, and I'm very excited to take your guys' recommendations down there in the comments and provide you a good technical analysis today here on NXT. Now this is very, very exciting. Why? Because NXT is at 1 cent of a US dollar, and it's been around for some time. And you can see that in the past it has spiked really high, and it's been going sideways here, down here, but it spiked really high back here, right? And it almost reached the 10-cent mark there. So if you're looking to trade this, or buy some of this digital currency, it would be pretty cool because right now it's at a low. It's at 1 cent. So it can reach 9 more cents upward to reach its previous highs here and maybe touch that 10-cent mark, okay? So that's some good profit there if you were to decide to buy this. Now, here's the available total supply right now. It's got a long way to reach that 1 billion cap mark there, but that's okay. And over here, here's the homepage, nxt.org. So you can go there and check out more information on this digital currency, and I recommend you do that. There's a wallet in there if you want to download that wallet and keep it on your desktop. I believe they even have one for the Android too. But if you feel comfortable keeping your NXT on the exchanges, that's perfectly fine. Now, let's get into the technical analysis and the fun part of what's been going on with NXT and where is it going. And the main question, why? We'd like to know why. Those of you that have been studying the way I do technical analysis and you're learning, that's great because now you can kind of start to see what I see and you're thinking, I know where he's going to go with this. And you can kind of predict these areas. So that's great. I hope you're doing that. I have received some feedback from you guys on that you have noticed other people using my charts the way I do it, and also teaching technical analysis like I do it too. So thank you for keeping me up to date with that as well. That is pretty cool. It's kind of inspiring to me that people are learning and they're incorporating that into their trading. Okay, so that's great. It means I'm doing a good job here, and I appreciate that very much. So let's go over here now. What are we looking at here? This is January to September, okay? But if you notice the patterns, we're looking at a nice big M. See that big M pattern? It's really huge. But we kind of have a little crazy one back here too. Let's draw this in purple. It goes up here, then it goes down, then it goes up, and then it goes down, fulfilling the right leg of that M. Do you see how it went past the middle marker there? So it fulfilled that right leg of the M. It's not the prettiest M, but it is an M pattern, right? So now that you've seen that M pattern, let's go ahead and erase that, because we're going to be drawing a lot here. Don't want to make it too confusing. So I hope you keep that little M there in your mind there. You can see it now very clear, right? Now let's go ahead and use another color. Let's use green. And what that did is basically came down here and it gave us a nice W pattern on upward. So you see that there? That is pretty cool. It's a rising W. It's not a falling W, but it still is a W. So you can recognize that. Pretty interesting, right? In the previous videos that I have done, I'm not sure which one, but there was a big M pattern, and in the middle of that M pattern was a little baby W. That's pretty much exactly what happened here. So let's go ahead and draw this. Let's draw it light blue. So now it turns into a big giant W. Okay, let's just make it right there. Or excuse me, big giant M pattern there. You can see it fulfilled its right leg down here, passing below the middle of the M, which was that little baby W upward. Okay, so that's very cool. That's all NXT was doing back here. So you say, Aaron, was that moving random? I don't believe so. Right, guys? I mean, you have been with me for some time now, and you can see for yourselves that it moves just perfectly. in these patterns here. Alrighty. So look at that. We have the M here, the first one it made, which turned into a W, sent it upward, making the right leg of this M and going down. So any of you guys that had recognized this M pattern here could have looked and said, you know what, I'm going to place my sal in and around here, and then maybe it went down here, and then you're going to get out when it gets equal to right here, this M, middle of the M here, or just below because it's fulfilled itself. Okay, so just keep in mind you can trade M patterns and W patterns however you like, but do recognize that I just want to teach and stress the fact that these M's and W's reveal themselves so many times. I can't show you guys enough. It's just right there for you to see. Now, I hope you're happy with that and you've learned something there by recognizing these patterns. Those of you that have been with me for a couple videos now, you know that these have fulfilled themselves very well and continue to. Those of you that are brand new, I hope that's really interesting for you there and you recognize those M's and W's. So let's go ahead and get rid of these now. Now we're coming all the way, let's fast forward all the way to today. And let's kind of zoom in here. What's going on right here? What do you guys see? Well, doesn't it look like this is occurring? Got the left leg up. See that? The middle of the M. Right leg up of the M. You see how it's knocking its head right here on this horizontal line? Let's go back there. It's a 2 cent mark. It almost wants to break above that, right? But it might go down. But if it tests that and respects it, it might go down, right? Maybe to test the middle of the M there. If not, fall back lower and finding support right on this congestion area right here. So, is it going to do that? Well, let's look back here. Let's draw a line. Let's see what this horizontal 2 cent line is having. Will be giving NXT a problem because it has resistance there on that 2 cent line. Plus, look at all the congestion here. So that offers a good resistance level too. So this little baby M might not have enough power. It might fail, might knock its head there and kind of get intimidated by all this action back here. But just slightly go down right here before it decides to say, you know what, I'm going to get braver. I'm going to retest this area because look at this. We created an M and now I have a little pattern behind me there. And if it fulfills itself by going equal to the middle of the M there, then it's going to sit back and say, okay, now let's break above that. Now we have some strength. We just completed a nice pattern there. And now we're going to go upward. Okay, so look for that right there to go up and then retest this area right here. But let's go back here now. Let's scroll back here and let's look at something really important. Now, back in 2015, you see this dark circle here? Those are the highs it made, right? So let's go ahead and draw this in red. Got our red there. Now let's connect this high right here to this high right here. Let's get the top of those actually. There we go, so we can see them. And there's the top of that one right there. Let's project that into the future. Let's keep going. You can see that right there, NXT went right up to it and found resistance at this level before falling again. And then look at how it just, as we move forward, look at how NXT just respects this trend line downward before it breaks it right here. You see, once it breaks it, it goes straight on upward. So let's go ahead and draw our circles here around these highs. There we go. And we can even draw this as our third circle right there. Pretty cool, right? Into the future, because look at how NXT just respects that and just kind of goes sideways, just finding some congestion there, right? Little traffic jam. It's kind of stuck for some time. Look how close together those are. They're just nothing but sideways action there. Once it decides to break above, remember I told you before that every time you break a trend line, and this is 3 key touching points, right? 3 circles we have here. Every time it touches a trend line and breaks it, boom, we have that nice shooting action upward. See back here? Trend lines offer good resistance, so it just kind of stays below and respects it very much. But then when it decides to break out and it peeks its head right here, you can see it gets braver. It goes, uh-oh, uh-oh. It goes a little higher, right? Kind of peeks its head even higher and higher. And then it kind of pulls back. You can't really see that too well there. But to the right of this one right here, you can see a little blue area, a little dot there. It pulls back once, then it pulls back a second time. And maybe we can zoom in there a little more so we can see that. There we go. See that dot right there? It pulls back once, it pulls back a second time. See how it's to the right of this one? And it kind of looks like it's getting closer to this red trend line here to find support before it decides to shoot right on upward, breaking this 2-cent mark there very easily. And then it finds congestion there and goes sideways right on that 2-cent mark before going upward. Now, that is very cool to see, right? Let's go ahead and look at this. Let's draw this red trend line into the future more. We have 3 good touches already. And we've seen what a breakout of this trend line did. Let's kind of project that onward into the future there. And look at that. You see that? NXT wanted nothing to do with this trend line. You can see that, in fact, it actually hovered and respected right here the congestion previously before. Okay? Right there. Just a replication of it into the future. See here how the past reflects the future? Pretty cool. It made this big looping turn here, which could have been a nice M pattern, but beginning of an M, but it wasn't. And you can see how it just kind of found right here support on this previous congestion level. But also above, let's get rid of this trend line right here. Didn't go below that. So this is something that's very cool. Ladies and gentlemen, if you pay attention to this, this is very cool. This was our good buy areas right here. Remember, comes back, goes up, comes right back down, touches a trend line. These are good buy areas that I look for right in here. It doesn't matter if it's even hovering up here. I'm going to draw my bubble. Anything in between this, I'm going to place buys. I had a lot of time to place my buys in and around here. And you know what? Thankfully, NXT is very cheap. So even if it hits the 2-cent mark, this is still a great time to buy. Okay? So just keep in mind, if this was a lot of money, like let's say something like Bitcoin was doing right now, then these lows from up here would be very significant, because that could be the difference between a couple hundreds of dollars, right? So, but this is what I mean. Look at this. Find some support on a trend line that's been projected from the past into the future, and you can place your buy areas right there. So remember the patterns, the M's, the W's, and our little baby M, it looks like it's forming right here. Let's go backwards now. And now let's go ahead and zoom out so we can see what's going on here. Now, remember this big M and this W pattern back here? Well, you can see, okay, if we were trading right around here on NXT, and we said, well, we're waiting for NXT to break this trend line upward. Right? We're waiting for NXT to break this trend line upward. How high is it going to go? Well, we could say, okay, to make it very easy on us, it could either go to the 2-cent mark back here. Let's draw this. Go to this 2-cent mark, or it can go to the 4-cent mark. Right? Those are good areas right there to look at. And so it did. So it's very, very easy to kind of gauge where it's going to go as far as how high. Okay, so another thing we want to look at is, let's go ahead and take a look back here on these M's and W's. Now these M's and W's are very important because they create nice highs and nice lows for us, right? Now, if you look back here, we have what? We have a nice low right here on the middle of this M. And then we have a nice upward move to create the right leg of the M up, and then on downward. See how it creates this other dip here, this other low before going up? Now these are really clear lows here. So let's go ahead and draw our circle around those. Let's make this green. So there we go. One right there and one right here. Now, if we buy in and around here, this is great news. But let's say that NXT decides to go upward now. Well, how high is NXT going to go? This is a good movement right here, diagonally upward. Let's make it even further. Now, if NXT decides to break up upward, this is how high I'm projecting it to go. Why? Because this is in and around 2 highs here. See, let's go ahead and connect those highs into the future. And look at what we got here. What do you guys notice now? A nice triangle pattern, right? Very clear. So do look for it to go up this high and maybe test this area here. Why is it going to test this trend line right here, going on upward? If NXT decides to move upward, bypassing this area here and reaching this high right here? Well, simply because, look at this. If we draw a line right where, if it were to reach this into the future there, just shortly from now, if it decides to really go up with a breakout here, well, what we can look at is going sideways right from here is the 8-cent level. But not only that, it's the 8-cent level, but let's kind of go and see what happened at that 8-cent level. Now, look at this little touching, this congestion here. Not very many there, but we have this high back here, touch that 8-cent level, just shy below the 8-cent level right here, on the first left leg of that M we drew before. See how it kind of goes right to that level? So this is very important right here, this area. Now, also, moving over to the future here, on the right leg of this M, look at all that congestion there. Look at all those little circles right below this horizontal line here. It's going to be offering resistance, okay, at this 8-cent level. So you can see that it has a lot of resistance and a lot of congestion in and around that area. These two right here are just spikes, okay? They're just spikes, but they're nice, and they do give us a nice horizontal resistance level into the future. But as we get near this narrowing area right here, let's go ahead and draw. This is our narrowing area right there. Green. We can see that if NXT decides to go upward there, it's going to have to get near into our narrowing area of these two right here, these two levels. Now, it's going to hit this first trend line down here. And the reason why it's going to hit this first trend line is because these two lows back here, right? But now that it's hit these two lows projected into the future, that's one key thing, okay? But we want to look for a second thing. So that's why I drew this horizontal line here, right at that trend line. I actually drew it just below, but you can see right at the 8-cent mark, and that's where we found congestion back there. After the spike went upward, it went down, and then made a low, and then knocked its head right on this 8-cent level, down, and then kind of played in and around between that level there. And even back here, you can see those touches that I was explaining there before falling on the right leg of the M. So yes, that's going to be a very good congestion area when it decides to go back up right and around here as it starts getting near to this narrowing area of this triangle here. Now, keep that in mind there. I do expect NXT to go up to 8 cents. Okay, that is my projection of NXT before it decides to maybe go downward and possibly fall down to maybe the 6-cent mark. Okay, our next level here. But do keep in mind, keep an eye on NXT for 8 cents there. That's what I'm looking for. It's great to buy in down here on these lows, but keep in mind with that. And the reason why I'm saying NXT might break out and go that high is simply because if you've seen it already, then wonderful. But let's take a look at this. Let's go ahead and draw this. Find a color here. What color have we done? Let's do it in purple. Okay. Now, right here, take this high. Okay. This nice high right here. There we go. And we're going to take this high right here. And we're going to draw a trend line connecting those 2 points, those two very high, long-term significant points into the future. And ladies and gentlemen, look at that. Does that not look like a beautiful trend line there? And if you look here, let's zoom in. See this high to this high into the future. Try to get all those other lines out of your mind, out of your eyes there. Just look at this purple one here, from this high to this high projected into the future. This is great, great news here. Because when we zoom in, look at how that is occurring. If that is a little baby M, look at how that middle of the M would be right on that support trend line. Now this is a very important trend line because it's very strong projected from the past there. And if it decides to go upward, it's going to break this 2-cent mark very easily. And that's why I projected it to really rise. Because you see back here, when it did break this red trend line with 3 touches here, it's a lower trend line and it's following price very low here. So when it did break up, you can see how high it went, okay, before falling. Now, when you're looking over here, you're taking very high, big patterns of an M, especially the right leg of an M. You're taking this very high M pattern here and drawing that as a trend line projected into the future on what? The second high area in which occurred after the breaking of our red trend line down here. So once those two levels find resistance into the future right here, see that? That's exactly where we're at. Especially after the red trend line was projected into the future and it gave us a bunch of buying areas here on a very low area. It starts to curl back up now because it's going upward. It's found some strong support on this trend line and it's decided to say, thank you trend line for the support. You've given me the energy that I can now boost upward, and it breaks above this longer term purple trend line projected into the future, and it just respects this area here just shyly for a bit, this 2 cent mark there, because of this congestion back here, but it kind of went down. Now it's tested the middle, tested this support purple trend line here, but it was also the middle of a possible M pattern. So if this M pattern fails, we're going to look for a shooting upward there in NXT on up to this 8 cent mark right here, because we have a nice green triangular narrowing area right there. Okay, so that is my projection on NXT. I hope you guys enjoy this, and if you haven't already subscribed, subscribe, like the video, share it with all your friends and family members there, and thank you guys so much for your donations. Thank you guys so much. Have a nice day. Take care.